G'day, welcome back to another video. In this video we're going to do some comparisons on the original Ultima and the 2019 re-release. So this puppy came out in 1986 and 2019 of course for this one. So yeah, we'll have a bit of a, not going to tear them down, but we'll have a look at all the basic improvements or changes. First off, you can see the tyres and wheels are different colour because, you know, age and so on, I guess. Actually, I don't think the originals were ever as bluey white as this, but anyway. Looking at the front tyres, they look very much the same, only I think the re could be slightly different. I think the ribs might be a little higher on the original. This, keep in mind, this has been run, but only once. Well, twice. If you look up there, you'll see a video where I ran it last. It's quite grubby, I haven't cleaned it yet. Yeah, but tyres are very close on the front, but I think they're slightly different. They're a little bit bulgier on the side on the re-release. Front wheels, one piece on the re-release, whereas the old ones were two piece. They had the bit that slips inside the tyre, and that went over the outer piece there. The rear tyres, you got your trusty old OT66s there, on three-piece wheels. They got the screws on the inside, if you can see them. Yeah, and the re we got foams in these tyres. Naturally, they're different type of pattern. They're a lot softer too, and they're one-piece wheels on the back, so no screws. So you just glue those tyres on and off you go. Happy days. Sticker-wise, I have noticed. I'll just talk about the original for now. There was a couple of variations when they first came out. I know the driver and so on sort of changed around the cockpit a little bit. But this sticky here, you'll notice on the re-release, comes up to the side. To my knowledge, they were like that on the very first Ultimas that came out. They had a sticker that come up here, but later on they got rid of them. So the stickers I used on this were original Kyosho ones. But it didn't have the bit coming up the side. Oh well. You'll notice the tan kind of colour on here has been changed to more of an orange on the re-release. The number's been changed on the front. We got 107 there and a big 5 on this side on the 2019. And some sponsor stickers are different. You'll notice on the original we got Holly Carbies there, and on the side we got Bridgestone. On the 2019 we've got Special Buggy, and on the side we've got Sand Super. So probably for licensing or something, really don't know. So that's our bodies, and that's our wheels and tyres. Chassis. The original used the button head screws, and it wasn't countersunk, so that's him. And the re-release uses countersunk hex screws, which, you know, it's much nicer under the car, a lot smoother. And you'll notice too the 2019's a lot more silver. What I read, I think this chassis is just basically raw aluminium, whereas the new one it's aluminium, but it's been anodized silver, so it looks more blingy. What else we got? We'll have to get these bodies off now, I think. Yeah, we'll just take them off. So there's our bodies off. Those side mounts aren't the easiest thing to work with, especially you got to trim up here pretty close to make them not hard to get off, but then you get a lot of crud under there, so you can't win. Anyway, yeah, with the bodies off, we can see there's quite a few differences, like the mechanical speed controller in this one. Now keep in mind with this one here, I built it all from parts. There's a video up there about it. But when I bought the parts, when I bought the radio plate, I obviously didn't look. This one's actually off a Kyosho sideways. So it's got the ribs coming up here on the top, and it's missing the lugs. There should be some plastic lugs up here to hold the speed controller still at the front. I mean, that's going nowhere, but it's not the right radio plate for this car. And I've just been too lazy to get one. I'll get one soon. Yeah, so mechanical speed controller, of course. Naturally, the 2019 doesn't come with a speed controller. You've got to buy your own motor and speed controller and stuff. This one also came with a 540, of course. So body-wise, the old one was held on, the old wing was held on to the cage using these mounts. The new one uses, I'll get that out of the way for a sec. The new one is underneath. It's got a mount that goes between the motor plate there and the motor guard plate on the other side, and it hooks up to the back of the bulkhead. Yeah, bulkhead, not the shock tower, that's right. Yeah, you can adjust these. You can put these bits here, you can put different mounts in to make it higher. I didn't bother, I prefer it to be lower anyway. So that's something that's different. The wing mount, we'll actually get that off. That'll help for looking at other things. So it can be a bit tricky to get off. You got to squeeze the mount together. There we go. So that's the mount underneath, and on the 2019 you can put spacers in here underneath the screws to make it different degrees of kick on the wing. Can't do that with the old one. Now, as far as the body goes, I missed a bit. I thought the bodies were identical. They're very close, but you'll notice on the original, it's got the big area there where the mechanical speed controller sits underneath it. You know, so it needs room to move. So it's got that raised portion there, and the new one doesn't have it. So there you go. Hopefully you can see them. But as far as I can tell, that's the only difference in the body. So I'll chuck those over there. We'll kind of start at the front, I guess. From what I can tell, the bulkheads on the front look the same. Can't see any. There's only a very slight difference in the moulding there, where the front of the where the stabilizer fits. It's kind of a bit different, if you can see that. The bumper is different. On the original, it's got Kyosho written on it, and if you look real close, you'll notice the 2019 one's a little narrower, and it's got no name on it. Front shocks, well, all the shocks are different. On the older one, they're 10mm round. Lengthwise on the front, I haven't measured them, but they look very close. I'm thinking maybe the re-release could be 5mm longer. But yeah, these are 10mm round and those are 12mm. The rear shocks, they're quite a bit different. As you can see, they're much longer on the re-release. But yeah, bigger, beefier shocks. Back to the front end. So shocks, shock towers. Shock towers are gone from aluminium to plastic, very thick plastic, and it doesn't bend a lot. It's quite stiff. These are quite stiff too, but if they get a decent knock, they'll just bend over, and they usually snap when you try to bend them back. So these could be a good option. I wasn't sold on them at first, but I'm thinking maybe they are a better idea. Yeah, moving on to the servo saver next. Servo saver is quite different. You can put ball bearings in the new one, sorry, not the old one. The old one was basically, they just slip over the sleeves, the aluminium sleeves that come up the centre. No bushes, no ball bearings, no nothing. Problem with that, I used to find if they get sand and grit and whatever in there, they'd start to bind up, be hard to turn. So you had to basically pull it apart and blow it out or something. The new one, you can put ball bearings in, but you can only put them on, if you can see, they can only go on the top and the bottom of this side. Over this side, don't know why, but there's no provision for them. But it does have, if you can if you can see in that gap, there's a thumb nut type thing where you can adjust the tension on the servo saver. Another thing, they've gone from basically the wire type steering arm there. Hopefully you can see that. That's been changed to a nice sturdy looking rod. Can't see that bending in a hurry. Of course, I'm using a low profile servo in this one. If you're using a standard one, the servo sits over here a little bit more. They still give you the same kind of rod, but it's got a bend in it, so it comes down that way. So you don't have to use the wire one. You can still use a nice solid rod there. The upper links on the old one, as you can see there, they're just plastic. They did change them on the Turbo Ultima, Ultima 2s, all of that other stuff. I think Ultima 2s, but yeah, pretty much after this one, they all changed to these type of turnbuckle setup, which are much better. I mean, these work, as long as you don't want to adjust them. Now next, done speaking, the switch mount, righto. So on this radio plate, we have the switch mount for the old school type switch or whatever. They're quite large, I guess, the older ones. The new one, they just use double-sided tape to hold it under the chassis. There's no actual mount on the radio plate there. I actually would have preferred one, because it took me a few goes to get this to stick, because there's really not much tape there. Yeah, I really would have preferred a screw-on mount, but whatever. That's the way things are going these days. Ran to the gearbox, I guess. I think we went over the screw differences. The button head screws on the old chassis, and countersunk hex screws on this one. This screw here, this hole here, I actually kind of like. It was pretty good for doing up, and good if it comes loose, I guess. The screw for the end of the steering rod there. You just put your Allen key through the bottom and off you go, which I thought was a pretty good idea. Because if that ever comes loose, it's a real pain to pull all that apart just to tighten that screw. So it's a good idea to have that hole. Now down to the arms. Right, the arms I thought were exactly the same, but they're not. They kind of look the same from the front, and they kind of look the same from underneath. But the difference is the older ones had they got the bit there where you're screwing a ball for the stabiliser, the optional stabiliser. This one has got moulded balls on it, which is kind of handy, but again, I would have preferred screw-on ones. Now down to the back. First thing you'll notice is the wing mount on the new one, of course, over the gearbox. The old one, we've got the resistor from the mechanical speed controller, of course. But on the top of the gearbox, it's got the little cap you can take off to put oil or grease in there. And the new one doesn't have that, it's just flat on top. The new one also has a nice little wire retainer, if you can see that under there. And just one screw, yeah, just to hold the motor wires out of the way. I thought it was a great idea. From there we have the gears themselves. We'll get these covers off and have a bit of a look. The gear cases. Yep. Now you'll notice the gear cases. They look very much the same. Only there's a bit of a difference. I'm not really sure why, but there's a bit of a cutout there on the 2019. I think they're basically the same as an Ultima case, and it's designed to help clear that, if you can see, I think it's designed to help clear that upper link there. But yeah, the original one didn't have that. There's nothing on it. And yeah, there you go. Alright, so gears. The diff in these, they had, they're a metal gear diff, but the outer gear is plastic. And then the final pinion sitting on top of that is also plastic, and they were kind of like cheese. Didn't last very long, especially with a powerful motor. And the outer gears are also plastic, the idler and the spur gear there. So in the new one, they've gone to sintered metal gears with a plastic spur. The gears inside the gearbox, sintered metal, full metal diff, and metal final pinion, and it's got the slipper clutch on there. And you got your, out this side, you've got the adjusting nut for it, for the slipper. And that's pretty much it. The original came with bushes all through it, no bearings, and I've kept that. I've still got bushes in it. This one, full ball bearings, so as you can tell, they spin a little bit better. That's pretty much it. It comes with a motor mount. The 2019, as you can see, I've if you look at the video up there where I ran it, I already dinged this up. It basically landed straight down like that off a jump. So I've dinged up the motor mount. I've also bent the end of the case of the motor there. Not happy, but whatever. I'll have to get another one of them. We'll straighten it out. She'll be right, mate. So yeah, that's about it for the comparisons. That's all I can think of. The rear arms look the same. The rear uprights are different though. On the original, they got only one mount position at the top for the upper link. Hope you can see that. And on the 2019, they've got two positions up there. Actually, I just remembered. Yeah, the bottoms are different too. In the bottom pin, there's a little sleeve you can put in to change the toe angle. The toe angle, the rear toe. I think it's 3 degrees and 6 degrees. There's two different sleeves you can put in there. So that's also different to this, to the original. Didn't have that. They were just set on 0, I think. So yeah, you'll probably, I think I've got the 3, oh no, it might be 3 degrees. They might both be 3 degrees. Anyway, whatever it be, this one's adjustable. I believe, getting back to the motor mount, I think it is very much the same as the original optional motor mount. So yeah, I think you could probably use that on an older one and it would fit. It should be fine. The side plate could be different though. I haven't really measured, but yeah, the other one was quite different on the older one. It had less holes. It only had 3 screw holes instead of 4. I do know that. Yeah, so that's about it. Oh, the tops of the radio plate. On the original, we've got button head screws, and then up the back of it, we've got button head screws through the bottom of through the chassis there, and that goes into some captive nuts in there. So you've got little recesses for the nuts to sit in. On the new one, it's all just countersunk, and all the screws go in from the top. Probably they should have done that in the first place. That would have been great. Whatever. So that's about it. Naturally, the radio plate's an entirely different shape. The original, actually, I shouldn't really go by this one, because the original, the proper Ultima one, not the Kyosho sideways, was probably a different shape to this. I just don't remember how it looked. But I'll get one and put it in there. So that's about it. Rear axles appear to be the same. I haven't measured them, but yeah, they look very similar or the same. The way the battery's held in, of course, the old cable ties on the original, with the little spot there, the little piece that holds the cable tie there, so they don't fall out when they're not being used. I've got some straps somewhere. Oh, they've gone walkabout. There they are. 1 second. Oops. So these are the ones for the new 2019. They use Velcro. I can't remember exactly how this goes. It goes something like this. Wrong way. No, it goes that way. Anyway, they go on something like that. It's much easier when there's a battery in there. Another thing on the old Ultima, the cutout in the side of the chassis is just cut out, and that's pretty much it. On the new one, they've got little sleeves, little plastic sleeves that slip in there, just here, and I guess the idea of that is to stop the chassis cutting through lipos, which could be kind of dangerous. And with the price of lipos, you don't want them getting damaged anyway. So yeah, we got those on both sides. So that's pretty much it. I can't think of anything else. But yeah, building the car, building the new one, as you go through, you just kind of find different things that are being changed. Not totally different, just little, like the bulkhead there, where the moulding's just slightly different, you know. But yeah, overall, happy with both of them. Alright, so this was just a quick video. Well, hopefully it was quick. Just to show the differences. I had a guy on Instagram, and he's one of my YouTube subscribers. He just wanted to see a video on a side-by-side comparison, see what the differences are, and yeah, I thought it'd be good to do, so here it is, it's done. So thanks for watching. If you're new here, subscribe and like and all that other business, and see you on the next one.